Another week, another podcast. We're up to full quota. There's 4 of us, so I don't have to make up some lame excuse where the other 2 are, or the other 1 are, the other 3 are. If I'm saying I've never done podcast on my own.
Stop complaining as if you don't like it. That's what you live for, isn't it? You live for one of us to not be here, so you can.
Did I spend all week doing prep for this podcast, but only hoping that someone doesn't turn up, and that's the prep. What can I make up this week? What really, terrible excuse can I give? Anyway, we're doing Unforgiven, and I'm gonna throw it out there now. I've never seen this film before, and this is a bit of a shock because I love a good old school western, and I would say this is one of the last sort of old school westerns that you probably got. So I'm interested to know what people's thoughts are on this. Like I said, I've never seen it before, but I would always been led to believe it was this amazing film. It was and correct me if I'm wrong, was a bit of a darling at the Oscars the year that it went there. And I'm on the fence about this film, so it'll be interesting to know how this conversation goes. Prog, seen it before?
I've seen this quite a few times, yeah.
Are you a fan?
I'm a fan, yeah. I think this is my favourite Clint Eastwood film. So.
Fair enough. Any memories of watching it for the first time, or has just always been there?
I'm just going to say uni. Standard answer.
Standard answer. I always remember the box. I don't know if you owned it in university. You probably did. HMV offer sort of thing. But yeah, I always remember the box. I don't know why I'd never come round to watching it. I thought when I was watching it, I thought, I'll remember some bits of it now or something. But no, didn't remember any of it. So, Ev, what about you, buddy?
I'd never seen this all the way through, but the only bit of it I had seen was when Clint is at the end and he's threatening the whole town. And the reason why I only watched that was because I found this random video on YouTube which was like the 100 greatest movie threats, and that was in it. Yeah, and that's the only bit I've seen of it.
I tell you what, right? But whenever we do extra content for YouTube, I always struggle like, what will the audience want? And then you've just turned around and watched a video which I would never guess anyone would have watched. Like the 100 greatest movie threats.
Yeah, not quotes. Not bad guy quotes or bad guys in movies. It's threats.
Yep. Oh, it's amazing. The same channel has done that. The greatest movie insults. I think they say the greatest movie insults part 2 and the greatest quotes from The Wire.
I've never understood this, right? How can you call it the greatest movie insults part 2? Because if there's a second part, it's not the greatest movie insults, is it?
Yeah, but there might be so many of the greatest that you have to split them up in the.
It depends what the definition of great as in numbers, isn't it?
The only way I would forgive that second video is if it came out like days after the first video. If they left it a year and they were like, what can we put out? Let's just chuck another video out of the greatest movie threats. But we've had one greatest movie threats. Just call it part 2. No one will know.
Everyone will watch it. It'll be fine. Someone will watch it.
I'll watch it. But for that thinking though, what do you think of Queen's greatest hits? The albums, because that's in 3 parts.
That's an interesting take, because isn't that to do with when the singles were released?
Or isn't that to do with the money?
Well, yeah, it's probably the money. But also, I'm pretty sure Queen Greatest Hits 1 is in the 70s, isn't it? And isn't Queen Greatest Hits...
It's definitely all their earlier stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's decades.
Yeah. A bit like the Beatles, although they're not the greatest hits, but you've got the Beatles Red album, you've got the Beatles Blue album, haven't you?
Yeah.
Their time. Ad, what about you and this movie that we're supposedly talking about?
My first time watching it last night. I'd never seen it before. It's like one of the big famous ones I'd never got around to watching was Unforgiven.
And what about are you a westerns fan?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of the Clint Eastwood. I've seen a lot of Clint Eastwood westerns. Like I've seen all of the Dollars trilogy. I've seen some of the ones he's directed as well, like High Plains Drifter, Pale Rider, Outlaw Josie Wales. But I've never seen this one. I just never watched it. I used to watch westerns quite a lot when I was a kid because my grandfather loved them, and I always quite liked a good cowboy film.
Yeah,
Growing
I
up.
was the same. Saturday afternoon, John Wayne
Yeah,
sort of
awesome.
scenario.
Any reason
always-
why you would have missed this then, Ad?
Just one of those ones that always passed me by. I just never saw it on. It obviously was never on a Saturday afternoon because it's a bit of an 18 or 15 or whatever. And it's just one of those ones I just never ever really go around. I've seen quite a few Clint Eastwood films, like and some of his older ones. Like I think he made Bridges of Madison County around the same time. That's a good film.
Yeah.
But I've never seen this one. Just never watched it. But yeah. So,
Is it funny you don't get many? Oh, sorry, Ad.
so I'm like you, Andrew. I popped my Unforgiven cherry last night.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's a funny one, right? And I said just now, I'm unsure on the film. Like, I really enjoyed it, but I'm on the fence as regards to whether I'd watch it again.
Can I just say now, I think this is one of those films that will grow on you, because that's what happened with me. And when I've been talking to people about this film, and you talk about certain aspects of it, you find more, like you're sort of like uncovering like hidden depths, or I hate using that language, but that type, you appreciate the writing and what it's trying to say. That's what I found with the film anyway. What I found is that the more I've watched it, the more I've enjoyed it.
It's funny, right? Because I'm looking at my notes now, and under favorite aspect, I've got I liked that it's like an old school Western, but a slightly more modern take. What's this? 92, isn't it? So the pace is very similar, and the storytelling is very similar to an old school Western. And that's a good thing, but at the same time, I wrote down, but is it also a bad thing for the more modern audiences? And yeah, so I'm really struggling where to put this film. Adam's mentioned it already. It's got a slightly higher sort of classification as it regards to the age rating. So that again, maybe that's why I never watched it. But I did try to enjoy it as an old school Western, is what I'm trying to say.
It's a revisionist Western, isn't it? So it's like it's obviously I do like the old John Wayne films and stuff, but it kind of strips away the that black and white good guys versus bad guys thing, and it kind of adds a bit of like Sergio Leone used to do with the Dollars trilogy. I mean, it makes everyone's a bit more morally ambiguous, and is like the Wild West is it's not as clean cut as some of the older sort of like John Ford movies. Obviously, John Ford made revisionist westerns as well, but it's just I think that's what it's got going for it, and it has got an edge to it in that regard.
It's
Jumping off. Oh, go on, Ev. Sorry, bro.
Oh no, go on.
I was going to say, jumping off the back of what Adam just said, when you look at William Money, you are constantly told about what he did prior to you meeting him on screen. And everything you hear, he is this atrocious human being who just took lives without thinking about it, had no regard for anyone else. But I think what the movie does well, and I don't know, I think this is, the magic of movies sometimes, is that you're actually on his side to a large extent. And I'm not saying that you end the film thinking, oh, what a great guy or anything, but I certainly think he's a great character. And I was going to say something about Clint then, but I think I'll leave it for now.
But what you do get, you get a journey with that character, and it's not just one change; it's potentially multiple changes. So you get him at the very beginning, and he's a bit of a bumbling farmer. he progresses into sort of like that, you know, he becomes a killer again. And then at the end, he sort of changes even more and he goes back and you sort of see not a hint, you see more than a hint of what he used to be.
Yeah, I think what he did through the film, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make out that he's not that man anymore. But in the end, he almost has to become that man to, number one, kill those men for the reward money. But then he embraces being that man when he seeks revenge for his friend.
Yeah. And also, right, he's done some like really hideous things that they suggest in that film. The worst thing he does in that film, he leaves his kids for like 2 fucking weeks. And just leaves them on a farm. You know, those pigs are really ill. You look after them, my son. I'm going to go and kill someone.
Yeah. If you need anything, go and see Sally, whatever her name is, about 20 miles down the road.
Oh yeah, you go and see Sally Two Tits down the lane.
Oh.
She probably lives like 5 miles away. If you want any like water, just swill out the pig mac.
That's what it was like back then, man. That's the Wild West. That always happens in westerns. I see that in quite a few films. They just say to like two little kids, like defenseless kids, "Yeah, you stay here now. Make sure you put a log on the fire."
Yeah, and if you get hungry, just rip a head off a chicken. He says something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, the dad's just like, "I'll be gone for about 2 months. See you later."
How old do you think those kids are?
Oh, no more than 10 and 8. Maybe 9, there's a couple of years between them, it looks, but I wouldn't say they're no more than like 10 years old.
How long do you think you would have been able to fend for yourself when you were 10?
Oh, less than 24 hours. As soon as my mum's
with the amount of crisps that your mother left.
I was just about to say, as soon as that box of crisps runs out, I would have gone feral. Oh my word. I would have been like chewing on, I don't know, bloody, I don't know, God knows what else.
Daisy,
you knew how to cook then, no, didn't you?
Well,
you were in Cubs. Come on, you were in Beavers and Cubs, and
I could probably heat something up, but if there was no food left, because this is what would have happened. There would have been like a cupboard full of food. I would have ate it all within 48 hours and then starved to death over the next week.
Drinking bleach.
Exactly. Oh, come on! What other favorite aspects of people got?
I think for me, I got a few. The film as a whole is almost like a love letter to the Old West, like the places, the scenery, the way of life, you know, and like how it's quite realistic, but like it's different from other westerns. That when the kid kills the cowboy on the toilet, how he goes to pieces after that for a while because it's the first person he shot. But leaving all that aside, Gene Hackman is the saving grace for this film. He's for me, he's absolutely immense in every scene.
Saving grace.
Get onto it later. But like Andrew, I was on the fence for this film, and I think Gene Hackman was probably the thing that kept us going throughout.
He's absolutely the more compelling character to begin with.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I think he overshadows everyone else in the film for me. Even Clint. Okay. I think yeah. I think Clint redeems himself from, and this is sort of my favorite scene, is when he finds out that Morgan Freeman's been killed. I think from there till the end of the film, I think that's the best sequence for me because of the change in him, and I think he redeems himself. But apart from that, yeah, Gene Hackman's great.
I've got to say the writing. I think the writing in this film is brilliant. I think this film is more of a character study, but not just of one character, of William Money. I think it's like a character study of several different characters. You've got Gene Hackman's character. I think it's a character study on the Schofield kid, how this boy, really, he's trying to big himself up all the time to William Money because he's heard about William Money. So he's like, I think it's a case of, well, William Money has done all these things and I want him to come and help me. So I've got to act like I've done something similar. And then you find out at the end that he's done nothing like that, like he was full of shit. But I think there was a reason for him being like that. And then you've got the English Bob thing, which is only like 20 minutes. But there was one thing in the English Bob thing that I only noticed, not this time, but I watched it a couple of times after. And he's trying to pretend that he's this English gent. And when he's getting wheeled off to leave town, he's actually got this really working class accent, which is nothing like how he used to speak. So you can see that his veneer's broken. And what I love about the film and the writing is that you get these people who, they're either trying to pretend to be someone else, or pretending to be someone else, or trying to be someone else, or you get characters like Gene Hackman who know exactly who they are, and they don't pretend to be anything other than that. And I just like the different type of characters that are on show, and I think that's the writing.
I quite like the scenes between Clint Eastwood and the prostitute who got cut up. Yeah, they're quite sweet in a way that you're almost wanting him to find her like the next love or whatever, because his wife's gone. And
I half expected him to be riding off in the sunset at the end of the film with her in tow. They get back home 2 weeks later. Hello, kids. This is your new mummy. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, and so I'm glad it didn't. To be honest,
that would have been awful.
It would have definitely been like an old school Western then, because they often had those sort of like really hammy bad storylines. So I'm glad they didn't do it. But
that the actress whoever plays Delilah, I think her name is
Anna Thompson.
She seems typecasting like the woman, like the typical female character who's had a really shit time of it.
Well, she plays a prostitute in True Romance, so.
Well, and she plays a single mother who's almost like that in The Crow.
Oh yeah, The Crow.
Oh yeah.
She was Fun Boy's girlfriend.
Fun Boy.
And
Marina.
Yeah. And that's a film we should do. That's immense. And also she's in Bad Boys. She's the receptionist from the police, who they blackmail with explicit photos of her.
Can't say I am. Yeah, I don't remember. I recognized her face. She had a bit of a this is going to sound really mean, and I didn't mean it. I don't mean it in a mean way. But she had a bit of a
press record, boys. Press record.
She had a bit of a bland face. Do you know what I mean?
Fucking hell.
Jesus, man. Fucking hell.
In the sense
you
of
saying it was a good thing they cut that up. What?
But no. I've just seen a picture of her now, right, on Google, and she is very, very attractive. But just in this film, yeah, I don't know.
That poor woman.
Give me a spade. Give me the spade. Stop digging for yourself.
Can we talk about another prostitute? Frances Fisher, or whatever her name is. Yeah, Frances Fisher. I was looking at her for ages and trying to work out what else she's been in.
Was that your favourite aspect?
Oh, 100%. And for a moment, I thought, is that a young what's her name? Who plays old Wendy in Hook?
Well, Maggie Smith.
Maggie Smith. No, I know it's not. But I was like trying to picture her for ages. She could be Maggie Smith. Yeah. She could be Maggie Smith's like younger daughter. I was going to say younger sister, but maybe more like daughter.
Hey,
well, she was dating Clint Eastwood at the time that this film was made.
Oh, she?
Is that Alice you're talking about?
Yeah, Strawberry Alice. Oh. Let's talk about Clint Eastwood for a moment. 62 years in this. Yep. And obviously he's got 2 kids. So you'd assume like as the story goes along, his wife probably changed him, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's probably a strong possibility that back in the day, back in the Westerns, that most guys probably didn't see 62.
No. But I wonder it doesn't specify, or I haven't seen it anyway, specified what age William Money is supposed to be in the film.
I bet he's supposed to be like 40 odd, and
I think so too.
Clinty's, you know, and then back in the day, he probably look even older. No, we always go on about people in the 80s looking older. Back in the 1880s, they probably looked even older again.
About 25. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Well, it says, well, his ex,
they took it out with him.
his ex-wife was about 29 when she died. It says that on a tombstone. I remember that bit. So, you know, so it goes in him. But yeah, quickly on my favorite aspects though. Just to get them out of the way. I really like the realistic. I really like the realism of this one. I really like the I really like that this film didn't conform to any. If you think about it, it didn't really conform to many movie tropes. Like I love the fact that they get all the stories screwed up. So like it's all off rumor. So like everything's like, oh, he cut her tits off and he cut her fingers off and he cut her face up and stuff, and also like the stuff like the both guys are all on the chopping block, but the other guy didn't do anything. The guy that's killed first did absolutely nothing, and also tries to give Delilah a pony in that one bit. But that's how savage the film is. It's like he's guilty, no matter like, even though he did nothing. That guy did absolutely nothing at all wrong.
He was just a mate. Yeah.
It's like basically if me and Prague were to go to a brothel together, and Prague got a bit leery with one of the working girls there, it's like me getting in trouble for it as well. You know what I mean? So
regular Tuesday, isn't it? What's the one by you called? Angels or something?
Yeah, because last time
what's it called? Andrew knows one.
Whoa. If you remember in the last podcast, you had to explain to me where it was.
Oh yeah, you were like that. You were like that.
You asked us before. You asked us before recording.
That was off.
I brought up Google Maps as you were saying.
Yeah.
And put
drops a pin in the address. Favorite
like
addresses.
Andrew was like, they don't do penetration there, do they? Like, right, they're all done. No, but I just really like that aspect of it. But like, I just love the fact that like the film is like the building block of that movie, and like how all the characters go along with each other. It is all rumor, but it's all rumor until the very end when you kind of get like the like Prog said that he thought, but like William Money was like, I think you said that he was running away from who he was, but I think really the film is him suppressing who he actually is, and at the end he's just like, fuck it, I'm accepting who I am. I'm going to go in. Sorry for the C word. I'm an asshole, and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go in and rip and tear the shit into everyone. And so I think that's really well. And also I love the fact that what's that guy's name? Is it Beauchamp, the WW Beauchamp, the novelist guy? I love the fact that he's there throughout the entire movie. So then when the film ends, you're a bit like, oh, I wonder what his fantastical version of the William Money killings is going to be afterwards. I think that was my favorite.
He's Mr. Beauchamp is like the Westerns version of Associate Bob in Demolition Man, isn't he? He just goes along from leader to leader or whatever.
Was it Saul Rubinek, innit? He was in Frasier.
Yeah.
Sorry, I recognised him, but never. I couldn't place it.
Yeah, he was going to marry Daphne.
I know, until Niles took over. He was in True Romance. He played the movie producer guy in True Romance. He played the sort of like de facto Joel Silver character in or was it Joel Silver or the guy that the producer that did John, I forgot his name now, but the guy that did Apocalypse Now, he played him in True Romance as well. Good actor. Really good actor, actually. But yeah, that was my favorite aspect. The other things were all mentioned by you guys, so I'm not going to repeat them again. But yeah, that was good.
Favorite scene then? Who wants to go first?
The ending. Clint Eastwood's onslaught on the bar. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite endings in film. I think it's great because you're waiting for this character to take off. You've heard all the stories, and then you finally get to see it. And what I like as well is I like the counterbalance of Gene Hackman's been telling the novelist about how people act and react in a gunfight. And then you get Clint Eastwood, William Money, going in, just blasting everyone. And the novelist goes, who did you pick first? And he just said, he basically says, I just started pointing and shooting.
Yeah, there's
like
no theory.
Takes away the mythos. That is a brilliant scene. But two other scenes I want to kind of give the bit of a spotlight to. Evan mentioned it earlier, and it was the Schofield kid scene when I want to kill one guy, and he's like doing that. That's a great scene. But also the bit where he gives Little Bill gives a Beauchamp the gun, and then he goes, "What if I give it to English Bob?" And you realize how full of bullshit English Bob is in that scene. That was a really good scene. I thought that was a good set piece.
What I like about that scene though is that because it's quite subtly played. I know you're saying you think English Bob is full of excrement because he doesn't take the gun, but part of me also thinks that English Bob doesn't trust Gene Hackman and that the gun is loaded.
Well, that's the thing when he empties the gun at the end, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Because if you see English Bob's face after he drops the bullets, he sort of drops his head as if he was like, "Oh, okay, it was loaded."
But he should have known it was loaded because you can kind of see in those old school guns if the gun's loaded or not because you can kind of see the chamber, can't you, with the bullets in this. So English Bob maybe he got too much blood in his eyes after that fight.
Yeah, it's true.
I wanted to see a bit more.
Concussion meant he couldn't see anything.
I want to see a bit more of English Bob. I do wonder if there's additional scenes that we never saw of him. And the other reason I question that is, on the cover, you've got Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman, and you've always got Richard Harris on it as well. And given the amount of time Richard Harris is in the film, it's a bit of a shock that he's on the cover, I think.
But he's a name though, isn't he?
No, I know why. Yeah,
he's a vital character in that movie. He's the film selling you. He's like that's the whole point of the movie. He's like that's the film's message. So it's like he's that fantastical Western. He's the Duke. He's the Duke of Death. He is that fantastical Western hero. And he comes in. He's got that extravagant suit on. He's got the two silver pistols and stuff. And he's like this. He is the archetypal crappy, like Western hero character even with a nickname. And then it's all stripped away from him. And when in that scene when he's riding off on that horse and cart, then you're just kind of like, well, who is the fucking good guy in this film? Do I like Little Bill? Do I like money? You need him in the movie. So if without him in the film, that's the part of the film when it's a bit like, this isn't the film you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean?
Also, English Bob is a device to show the audience how quote unquote good Little Bill is at his job or being able to tell people that type of stuff.
But so I think for that reason, Little Bill is one of the main players in the movie, even though he's only in it for the first 40 minutes or so.
English Bob, you mean?
Yeah, English Bob, you know what I mean.
I'm going to give you my favourite scene, and it's the killing of the first cowboy. So when Ned can't take the shot. Yeah. Because I think, for me anyway, that's when the film flips. You're going into the killing aspect of it. At this point, you've got three guys who are all like, yeah, let's go and kill these cowboys. And then you finally turns out that Ned can't do it. And for whatever reason they've changed their lives and what have you, and you couldn't see it through. So I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I think that's really good. I do think Morgan Freeman is good in it. I know also after doing some research on this that while Morgan Freeman was making Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner supposedly told him about the part, and he then asked to be in the film rather than being chosen to be in the film. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, he's great in it. Morgan Freeman's awesome in this film.
I love Morgan Freeman anyway.
Old Ned. I did shed a little tear when he was in that coffin. I didn't really shed a tear, but I thought it was sad. But he was even though he didn't do anything. But that's what I'm saying about earlier. My favorite aspects. That's the rumor look. So that's what I liked about it, like the rumor thing. Like rumor is the enemy in this movie because as soon as you're in that rumor mill in this world, you're fucked. You're like that guy that didn't do. That guy tried to give Delilah a pony, and he was still dead. There was no coming back with him.
The rumor aspect's really good because you mentioned it just now about someone saying, "Oh, he cut off her tits." Well, it started off with it just being slashed. Then I think someone said that he cut her chest, and then the third time you hear it, he's cut off her tits, and that did make me laugh as when I actually watched it. I was like, bloody hell!
I know.
It's like in school, isn't it? Just like
Chinese whispers.
Yeah, it's like someone's hit so and so. Yeah, someone took a sledgehammer to them. Ooh, it goes.
Welsh whispers.
Oh, well, yeah, that might be a quite racist thing to say. I don't know.
Yeah, but like
Who
it's
knows?
just that's again though. It's clever how like Beauchamp is. He's you. He's the Western fan viewer. That he's you chucking it on, and he's you being like, oh, isn't this what's happening in the Western? Isn't the first guy supposed to shoot? Isn't who the guy who shoot first did it? But he's the viewer. He's the sort of vessel for the Western audience, I guess. And it's really clever, really interesting.
Favorite scene?
I said them before. The ending from when Will finds out that Ned has been killed, like underneath the tree when the girl tells him, right until the very end. I think all that's really good. And also the scenes between Will and Delilah, I thought they were quite sweet. It was almost like it was still a little bit of. He still had a little bit of humanity left, even though it was slowly being stripped away from him. He still had a soft spot.
Do you want a free one? I bet now. You want a free one?
Right.
Start right.
Oh, shut up. Right, moving on to changes. Right, what have people got?
Yeah,
I've got a question.
Go on.
And as much as I love this film, do we think this would be a better film if Clint wasn't the director?
Well, this is really interesting, right? Because I don't know how much of a background check and things you've done on this, but supposedly this film was around for decades, a couple of, 20 odd years before it got made. And at one point, Francis Ford Coppola had it in his possession, but he just couldn't get the finances to make it work.
That would have been interesting.
No, I think that this film needed to be directed by Clint Eastwood, man. I think he was the perfect choice for this movie.
Why do you say that?
Because I think he's really good at doing westerns, and I really like Clint Eastwood's. I love his very easy, simple yet like lovely style of approach to filmmaking. Like I just like the way he constructs a film, and I like the way he deals with characters and how he deals with the script as well. So I think Francis Ford Coppola, he's a brilliant director, but I think he would have made it too. I think he could have made it too extravagant, and he could have delved into the morality of it too much. Whereas I think Clint Eastwood had a better handle on things.
That's fair enough, yeah. So you're saying because Clint directed it, he's more hands off with. He's not so much as meddling as meddling. Maybe isn't the right word, but he's not going to be changing things left, right, and centre. You'll just leave the script as it is and let people get on with their work. So
supposedly he changed very little in this film from the actual story or screenplay. Yeah. When the only things he changed was the opening and closing scenes has text. He changed it so it just had text and didn't have a narrative. A narrator, sorry.
The only reason I asked the question is just because sometimes I think, would the film have been more visually arresting if someone else had directed it, someone with a bit of flair? But then I understand Adam's point that Clint Eastwood, and I'm not saying this as a criticism, he's a very nuts and bolts director, isn't he?
But you get a lot of stories about him, don't you? That people come in, they do their scenes in like one take, and he's like, "Yep, that's it. Yeah, we're wrapped for the day. Or wrapped for the scene."
That's how Howard Hawks used to make movies. Did you? Howard Hawks, another famous Western director, would shoot all of his films in precise shot order to the way they were edited, and he would just do 1 or 2 takes, and that was it. He was like, and he's one of the greats.
I wonder whether you could do that anymore, only because of the way films evolve throughout their shooting. Often films are starting to get made and the scripts aren't finished. They're going back and they're adding scenes later on. So
I do know, but I did read afterwards about David Webb Peoples, who wrote the script, who did 12 Monkeys as well, which is another really good movie. We should do that on
Blade Runner.
But I know that he asked Clint to do it after he watched High Plains Drifter. So it would have been like the early 80s, late 70s. He first asked him, but Clint Eastwood said, let me do it later on, because I know Clint was a bit like burnt out on doing westerns, so he wanted to do other stuff. So
and also the person who, I think it might have been either his producer or someone who did Clint Eastwood's the Outlaw Josie Wales, she saw the script, the original script, and she said pass. So to Clint. So I don't think Clint read it for like 10 years. He was in, and then when he finally got round to reading it, he really liked it. So the rest is history. Going off Prog's question though, if you flip it, what do you think if Clint Eastwood isn't starring in it?
Well, you have to have Clint in it. Come on, he's like one of the best Western. He's one of the best living Western actors.
Oh, yeah, no,
ever.
I agree. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here because Francis Ford Coppola supposedly wanted John Malkovich to play William Money.
I love John Malkovich, but fuck me, that's wrong. That casting's so wrong and off. Too young, and just not. He hasn't got the grit about him.
Is there anyone in the early 90s who's, because what Clint does have is he's got gravitas, hasn't he?
There's one other actor I reckon could possibly do it, but he would still need to be a Tommy Lee Jones, I would have said, because I think Tommy Lee Jones is really good in westerns. But he was a bit too young in 1992 to play it. Still,
Costa.
No,
Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell.
Too
Don't
young.
look any further.
As much as I love Kurt hasn't got. You haven't got a darkness about him, have you, Kurt?
Mel Gibson.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Adam, Mel.
He's too young. He's too young to play it. He could do it now. If they remade Unforgiven, yeah, get Mel in it now. Jesus Christ! But like,
but hang on a minute now. William Money is supposed to be in his 40s. Clint was 60 odd when he made this film.
Yeah, but that's the selling point. Is that he's just broken down. He can't even get on his fucking horse.
What about Harrison Ford?
Nah, not Harrison Ford. I can't see Harrison Ford in a cowboy hat. That's just weird. That's just.
You haven't seen Cowboys and Aliens, have you?
Yeah, I have, and I hated it. I hated that film. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of people off the top of my head now. I'm trying to think of like proper, like, let's have a look at like old school actors.
It's a good question, because I think we all agree that Clint is a very good actor, especially in westerns. Yeah, it's just a case of is Clint's age taken away from the character a little bit? That's the only reservation I have.
I can't think of anyone else I could play other than Clint Eastwood. That's the thing. I mean, like,
the thing is, all right,
Robert De Niro.
Well, I was going to say De Niro, Pacino, but they didn't tend to be in those genre films.
Robert De Niro would be like, "Get me some spaghetti with this western." He'd be all Italian, mookie American guy. It would be weird if it was De Niro, But I can't think of anyone. I can't think of anyone else. Like, all jokes aside, I can't think of anyone. That's a really tough question. What other actors were like that sort of age in the 90s, aside from Gene Hackman?
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, okay, right. Steven Seagal should have been William Money.
Hey, Little Bill.
Yeah, a very different film.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I can't think of anyone else to play, but I am biased because when I was a kid growing up, I used to love like The Man with No Name and stuff. So I just can't see it being anyone else, But yeah, it's a toughie.
Yeah,
come on then. What changes?
Can't think of anyone.
What changes have people got then?
the I'm gonna have to say it. It's too slow. The pace of the film is too slow, and I like the fact it goes. It's like I said before, like a love letter to the old west, and like watching it for the scenery, and it reminds us of playing Red Dead Redemption, which is a brilliant game if you haven't played it. But it's just at times I don't know. I was just waiting for them to get there, and I know you have to build up the character and it's the building the tension and the journey and stuff like that. But it was like Taxi Driver. It was a little bit too slow for us. Yeah.
I'm going to sort of agree with you though, Ev, because I understand why it's
solidarity.
The pace it is. So I'm sort of on the fence, right? Because again, for me, it's that love letter to sort of an old-fashioned Western, but I did enjoy it as well. But I also got frustrated by it because I wanted to move on.
Yeah, and also in the scene at the end where Clint's obviously killing everyone, how shit are the other like Gene Hackman's gang? How shit are they at shooting? Because let's be fair,
this is my main change, Ev.
Yeah, Clint doesn't hide behind that table well at all. Literally, he's just standing there going, "Come on in." And it's just like they're shooting in the thin air. Oh,
I'm sorry, but I'm absolutely gonna go against what you're saying here. I don't think you realise how fucking hard it is to shoot a gun, and how hard it is to aim a gun at someone, and especially those guns back then.
But it's not like they're 20 foot away from him.
I know.
No, that's true. But remember everything that's been talked about when people are in a gunfight. They brick it. Most people brick it. The reason William Money is quote unquote good, or for as he puts it, lucky, is because he doesn't care. Everyone else in that bar, when they see him come in and he shoots the barman and then he tries shooting Little Bill, they are bricking it.
Yeah, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one.
No, we're not. You're going to agree with me.
No, because the other thing I have with that scene, and it's the thing that Gene Hackman does, he just shouts out, "Misfire!" And I'm sure in the middle of like a gunfight, you wouldn't just go like, "Misfire!" And but yeah, look, I don't want it to take away from the scene though. The scene is good.
It is kind of foreshadowable for the movie, though. I mean, they constantly talk about the fact that he managed to pull off this insane task of killing two guys way back when and stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of on Prog's side here. I don't think there's any problems with that scene. I think
I like the scene. I think it's a good scene. It's just like I said.
I would half expected a graze, Ev.
Yeah,
a little bit of
without that scene, though, the film falls completely apart, though, because without that scene, the film has no punchline. The film has no point because it needs to have that fantastical ending where he pulls off this like death-defying, near impossible feat. Without it, the film is just. If it didn't have that, the film would be awful. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just. Because it's like it's fed in all through the movie. Like that's all. That's why the Schofield kid finds him at the beginning. It just kind of all builds to it. That's what I think. Anyway,
I all I'll say is whenever I watch that scene, I find it fairly realistic about how things are happening. Like William Money isn't the only one that misfires, and also, when you look at people trying to get their gun, they're like fumbling their gun and like I think that's the point. I think we've just become so accustomed to seeing bloody Matrix or John Wick or I've just picked Keanu Reeves' film off the top of my head, but these people who are slick with guns and they're just killing people with one bullet, and that never happens.
The other thing as well is that the Little Bill is the only competent shooter in that town because But Big Whiskey has a very strict no gun policy there. And earlier in the film, when they go in to kill English Bob, when they're getting their guns together, they're all saying to each other, "This never happened here." They're all nervous about having to fire guns. None of them really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the only one that could ever stand a chance against Money was Little Bill, who's shot first.
And the only one that was good at shooting wasn't he the one that was out trying to protect the second guy that had the reward on him?
Well, the big guy with the beard.
The fat guy, yeah.
He's the only one that I know he's in the bar after, but I'm sure he's one of the ones who sat down or he like fumbles his gun or something.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, right? I understand what you boys are saying, Andrew and Eb. I get what you're saying. But I do wonder whether it's because we're so used to seeing films where everyone's just like 1 second, guns out, and they've shot someone, and it's like, and they've shot someone from 30 yards away. When, in reality, that would never happen. I've fired guns. I have. I've been to gun range a couple of times in America, and it's hard. It's hard. You don't realize the force that are coming off those weapons.
I think I don't know if Ev is the same on this. I think it's more of a case for me. He's in a bar, and was it maybe 8 people are in there?
I think he shot 5 people, not including the barman.
Yes. So, but still, it's just. Yeah, I don't want to take away from the scene that I do think that sequence is great for the film, and Adam's 100% right. If you take it out of there, the film doesn't work. Maybe I'm just used to other films, where people are getting grazed and killed, and and then being shot like 20 times and still getting on their horse and riding into the sunset. Who knows? What else have people got?
I mean, I said mine half in jest, to be honest, but that was it really for me.
I'm not entirely sure. Do you know the text at the beginning and the end? I mentioned it earlier. I'm not entirely sure it works. I think I probably would have had a narrator. I'm nitpicking a little bit here.
It does. It kind of bookends it though. I mean, like I do quite like the last line when it says that like I forgot what it said exactly now, but it makes mention of the fact that like no matter how hard he tried to suppress it, there was always like that sort of like vindictive sort of like like that vicious sort of like streak to him which he could never really suppress. So
they make a point. They make a point of that, don't they, about the notorious bad temperament or something. That's said twice.
You can never quite. And I think that like it's like when he finds out Ned's dead, isn't it? And he grabs the whiskey bottle and he's all like, it's all that's it then. It's like everything is, I forgot his wife's name now, but everything his wife did to change him is just completely torn apart in that moment. It's just What
do you reckon he's like when he goes back to his kids? Do you reckon he's a changed man?
He's like, I think he tries to go back to being the father again.
But they go on the run, don't they, first? They go to San Francisco.
You took that as them going on the run, is it?
Well, yeah, because that's what he says. That's what it says in the closing fingers. Is they relocate the.
Of course.
It's in the image, isn't it? The mother goes back to the grave, and there's no one there because he took the kids to San Francisco because obviously he's too close to Big Whiskey, and obviously what he did is a little bit illegal. So like I think he's gonna get hanged for that. Yeah. So and they probably hang his kids as well because going off the rumor mill, they probably think the kids were on that horse killing everyone as well.
Well, those kids were the ones cutting out the tits, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be. It's like it's that thing in it. So
I got a couple of other things. Do you know? I don't know where is Little Whiskey in America. Like where do you know?
Isn't it Kansas or something? Or doesn't it?
Well, it's outside of Kansas. Don't they say it's because he lives in Wyoming, doesn't he? So so he treks down to Big Whiskey or wherever.
Because my geography of America is not great, right? But do you know where does the snow come from? all of a sudden. Do you know the scene where he's in the bar, he's got some sort of fever, he gets shot. I don't know what happens. What does little Bill do to him? He beats him up, doesn't he? And then they take him to a hut, which is okay, he might be in the mountains somewhere. I can give a little bit of snow for that. But it's just they've gone from this like deserty western to all of a sudden snow. I'm just questioning it, that's all.
No, Kansas, it gets all 4 seasons. Kansas does.
It says here, the fictional town of Big Whiskey is most likely located in the East High Plains section of Wyoming near Laramie, as opposed to the mountain ranges and Indian reservations in the western part of Wyoming in the 1880s. The average temperature in July is between 85 to 95 degrees. Just adds that at the end, but it doesn't really say when the film is set, though.
The film is just set in 1881. It doesn't say what time of the year.
But they are riding from a storm in there. They're always like,
yeah,
they are always kind of they're always riding away.
Doesn't he say that they go west first and then south?
Yeah, but remember though, Ev, they're not saying there's no roads, is there?
No, yeah, I know, but
it's not like you're saying, "Oh, I'm going down the road." For them, us saying going down the road is them saying, "I'm going west." Going west just means they're going west for a day, which would be an hour for us in the car, maybe.
The other thing from me, sorry, last thing, I promise. There's a lot of mopping of brows in this film. Have you noticed that? There was a lot of sweaty people.
A lot of prostitutes, but
well, yeah.
Yeah. Would you have,
would you rather them be mopping something else?
Oh, I have got another change. And it's Ned's character. And it's only a small change, but I was a little bit gutted that he cheated on his wife with a prostitute multiple times.
You're only gutted because it was Morgan Freeman cheating on
it was. My sort of expectation of Morgan Freeman was really let down.
Nah, he's a ledge, man. His wife's miserable as well, and that, when he's saying as well, she's got a right sour face on his missus. So
no, well, hang on a minute now. His wife knew what was going on. His wife knew that Ned wasn't coming back.
As soon as money turned up, she
yeah,
was like, "Oh, it's him again."
Well, it's that look they have, isn't it? She gives him that look. It's that bit when, as soon as she gives him that look, I was like,
how good was that though? In the writing, she has 2 really, really small scenes where she's there on arrival. She goes to the horse and sees the gun, and then she gives William Money a stinking look when he's going off with Ned. And in those 2 looks, that you get everything about that character.
And she doesn't even say anything, does she? I think in the whole film.
He is humming bump and grind to himself when he's on that horse, though, because he knows he's going to that. He knows he's going to play some billiards. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, it's just fun.
But maybe in her mind, that's what she's thinking. She's not thinking about murder. She's like, "Oh, he's going off with his mate again. Probably going to go and see some prostitutes in that little whiskey place."
Ned's gone in the hut and he's gone, "No, Will's getting married again, so we're going off on a start too."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, well, let me go get my billiards cue." Wink, wink. He's like, "Oh, it is all happening now."
But the way he says it though, like how he's made sure that Will is there in the bar or whatever, and then he says, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a bit of time on my own," or something like that. "I'm gonna have some of my own personal time." We're all like, "Come on, you know what? Everyone knows what you're doing.
Just gonna go and check on the kid."
I just sorry, I know we'll get back to it. I just realized another cool thing about the old Morgan Freeman situation as well. I love the fact that he's always like, "I could hit a crow in the sky. Like, that's how good of a shot I am. I could hit a crow in the sky by the sun right now. That's how good of a shot I am." But then when it comes to the killing, he picks up. That just kind of come back to me a bit there. I quite like that. But
there's a question as to whether he misses on purpose.
Yeah, but still, he's not the shot he said he was, is he? In that bit. But
and also, you're assuming what does he say? He asks So Ned asks William money, doesn't he? When's the last time you killed someone, or when's the last time you did something? And doesn't he say something like 11 years?
Yeah, it was before he met his wife, wasn't it?
Yes, and obviously before he had kids. So, a lot, so you're assuming then probably that's the last time Ned's probably shot at someone as well.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final sort of topic that we talk about. And it's a simple question. Would you recommend the film? Yes or no? Adam?
Well, I'm just going to say, right, I genuine right now, right, when I watched this last night, when it ended, I was like, Jesus Christ, that was like one of the best films I've ever seen. I thought that's how good this movie was. I was like, I think this film, I haven't got any changes at all. This is a perfect movie in my eyes because that's what I want in a movie. Everything is just, it's like a House of Cards. This film is, you can't take one thing away without it fucking up. I love this, so I'm absolutely, I would say, essential viewing. Yes.
So
what's your
solid
rating,
8 out of 10? Yeah, 8 out of 10.
No, it's going to be a 6.
This has the coveted 10 out of 10 rating for me. I give this one a 10. Yeah. I honest to God, I didn't find it slow. I was, from the first scene, I was completely hooked into this film, and I was like, oh, I wish there was another hour in this because I wanted more of that world. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought every actor in it was amazing. And
Is it better than?
Is it the type of film that you're going to watch again soon, or?
Can I'd watch this again? Yeah, this is a great movie, and this is the kind of film you could go back and watch and spot things you never noticed before. I know that straight away. But
yes.
It just really took to the film. Really took to it.
Is this better than Friday the 13th?
No, it's not that good. Jesus Christ, there's no one here. There's no one here that there's no one. There's no Jason Voorhees in this one, so it doesn't take that.
There's no Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th.
He is in the first one.
Okay, the end. Yeah, right. The end.
All right, then better than Taxi Driver then.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if it's better than Taxi Driver because Taxi Driver is like, I think that's like,
that's one of your films though, isn't it?
They're very like, it's just, I just loved it. I just thought when I watched it, it was that feeling of like, I can't believe I never watched this before because I just fucking loved it. I just thought it was great. Like, and I
love that feeling though. Do you know when you've not watched the film before and you finally sit down to watch it and it's like, okay, wow, I'm so glad I'm now watching this for the first. I love that feeling when you watch a great film for the first time.
When a film meets your expectations.
Yeah.
And well, not just meets it, surpasses it.
Yeah, quite glad because I was busy on Monday or Sunday night, so I didn't have a chance to watch it. So I'm happy we pushed the podcast back to today because I probably wouldn't have watched it for a few more years or something if I hadn't watched it last night. But I chucked it on thinking, oh, let's chuck this on, and Clint Eastwood film could go either way because I think Clint Eastwood can be quite hit and miss sometimes. I think he can either he makes something outstanding or he can make something quite dull, or just annoying. And I was just like, this is one of the great Clint Eastwood movies. I've really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'd say yes to this one. I would say everyone needs to watch it.
Ev?
Here we go.
Be honest, Ev. It's all right, man. Be honest.
No. No.
Get him off the podcast.
I probably need to watch this again to be honest, but it's I don't know.
How many sittings did you watch this in? Ev? Was it one go or was it across multiple sittings?
2 actually.
Ev.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a busy man. I have a family. Not all of us can watch a film in one sitting.
Two sittings a day across 1 week.
No, I don't have much experience with Clint Eastwood films. I've only seen like a few, like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I've seen $1 Million Baby. I prefer to this, which you're probably going to roll your eyes. Look there. It's like I've betrayed him.
What about Heartbreak Ridge?
Never seen it.
That's an amazing film. I love it.
But no, I kept, for some reason, I don't know why, but I kept comparing this to Tombstone, and for me, Tombstone's a better film. So, in short, no. I'd have to watch it again, and I'll probably change my mind. But on this occasion, no. Sorry.
Frog?
I'm all right with the last sentence you said, Ev, because I really like Tombstone as well. I think that's a good film.
What about you, NJP?
Oh yeah, I think this is a
100%.
great film. Great film. And I'll be honest, right? I'm not a massive fan of Clint Eastwood directed movies. I find him quite ponderous and slow, as obviously Evan has found this film. But for some reason, this film just clicks. I don't know why. I do think it's a lot to do with the writing, and I think Clint Eastwood's a little bit like Ridley Scott. When he's got a great script, he can make a great film. But I don't think Clint Eastwood has had many great scripts, unfortunately. There are quite a few Clint Eastwood films I've not seen that he's directed, so maybe I'm missing some. But this film, absolutely, I'm all in.
All right. So if it does come down to me, and I enjoyed watching this film, but there's a big but. And I'm not sure I would recommend it. And I think you got to go back to what the question is. Would you recommend this film? And I'm not sure many modern audiences or people that I know would really like this film. However, if I spoke to Adam now and he just said to me, I've never seen this film. So if it was Adam 24 hours ago, I'd probably tell Adam to watch it because I know how much of a sort of film buff he is. But for the general sort of population, I don't think I would.
Would you? So you would have recommended it to Adam? Would you have recommended it to Evan?
I probably would have, yeah. I and then it's just going like totally against what I'm saying here. This is a good film. This is a very good film. I enjoyed watching it. I just don't think I would recommend it to Joe
Everyone.
Public. Yeah.
I'm going to say as well, guys, I just pulled up the top 10 according to IMDb. Some person's made this list of Clint Eastwood directed films, and this list is a load of horse. I'm just going to say that right now. Even though, should I just quickly read it out while we got
go on.
5 minutes here?
Go on.
So number 5, right? Sully. Now, I thought that film was just plain, no pun intended, but I thought that film was plain ass boring, right? I've never seen.
I agree.
I've never seen this film, but I've heard it's really good. Changeling with Angelina Jolie. Never seen it.
Yes, yeah.
Whoa. It's got
I didn't like
Angelina
that.
Jolie in. You had Ev straight away.
I didn't like it.
The top
Is
3.
that the one? Is that the one about a son
Yeah,
that goes missing? Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no,
That was all right.
it was the film about who cares.
And then now the top. Okay. First off, I got the order fucked up. Sully was number 6. Changeling was number 5. Number 4. 3, 2, and 1. I kind of agree and disagree with. Mystic River's number 4. That's a really good film, in my opinion.
That's decent.
I like
Javier Bates or whatever his name is.
That's
Is
right.
he in? Yeah. What else?
No, Mystic
no,
River.
no,
Mystic River. Sean Penn.
Yeah, Sean Penn and
Pretty
good
different
cast,
film. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon's in it as well, I think.
Tim Robbins.
Number 3, I like this film, but I think Prog doesn't like it. $1 Million Baby's number 3, but I thought that was a good movie.
That's a brilliant film.
I'm with Ev on this one. I actually really like $1 Million Baby.
How can you find Unforgiven slow and $1 Million Baby not? That is boring beyond belief, that film.
2 words for you, Prog. Hilary Swank.
Oh, it got me at the end.
I love Hilary Swank. I think she's a great actress, but that film, I can't deal with it.
Number 2 is one I need to rewatch, but I didn't like it when I first saw it. I've never really liked this one. Does anyone want to try and guess what number 2 is?
In the Line of Fire.
Nope.
Gran Torino.
It is Gran Torino, yeah.
See, that was all right. That was all right. I didn't mind that one.
I found that one really lazy, that film, but I haven't watched it for years. And number 1 is
Heartbreak
what
Ridge.
this podcast. It is heartbreaking. number 1 is Space Cowboys.
Every Which Way But Loose.
It's that 15-17 film about Paris. No, it's
Is it The Rookie? With
it's
it's Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, everyone hates that film, don't they? The Rookie, but it's Unforgiven is the number 1. I would have thought Bridges of Madison County would have been really high up because I remember watching that and thinking that was a really good film back in the day. But
I think those films you've named out though, they must be something to do with the Oscars.
no, they are. That's the highest rating according to IMDb. So they've highest IMDb ratings, apparently. So not my opinions. This is to the listener. That's the opinion of IMDb man. So just know that.
Did he do American Sniper?
He did do it, yeah. I've heard so things about that one.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it. But yeah. And then
I'm gonna watch a couple more videos this week.
Did he do any of the Dirty Harrys then?
No, he was in them all. But I know that him and Don Siegel, who directed Dirty Harry, were very close friends. And I think Don Siegel, I've heard this before, I might be wrong, but I'm sure Don Siegel kind of mentored him into being a director, because Clint Eastwood's first film is Play Misty for Me, which is a really good film, by the way. That's a really good film. A lot like Fatal Attraction it is, actually. But I think I read somewhere before that Don Siegel kind of like helped him out, kind of give him some pointers, and was like, oh, if you want to get into direct and do this, this, and this. Because he was in like Coogan's Bluff and like and a few other films by he was in Escape from Alcatraz as well by Don Siegel.
Oh, I love that film.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I just had a look. He did the fourth Dirty Harry film, Sudden Impact. So
there we are. So he did direct one.
Let's start thinking about wrapping this up before our free Zoom call cuts us off again.
Yeah. Don't tell the listeners we're on free Zoom.
It's because we don't make money from this. We make.
Are you saying we make money?
No, we don't. Yeah, I'm saying we make no money. It's all money. Right. So, Unforgiven budget 14 million, returned just shy of 160.
All right.
So he washed his face. Handsome. And I think we've gone through all my facts. It's a funny one. I feel really bad about not recommending this, but it is a good film.
I do to abundance. I just feel bad, like I've betrayed Prague, like I've on the conflict.
Sorry. Okay, but I'd come to expect it from you.
Right, podcast come out every Wednesday. Well, go on, Ad. You got a minute.
I was going to say, imagine this film, but if they took the same approach as Holy Grail with the horses. Andrew, go on. Coconuts, isn't it? I don't know why. It just went out.
Yeah.
Just imagine that film. Everything is the same, except they use coconuts instead of horses. That's Unforgiven.
One of the greatest jokes ever in film.
Sorry, Andrew.
And on that bombshell, podcasts come out every Wednesday. Well, this week's coming out Thursday. Check out our social media.
Could have been on that coconut shell, but never mind.
Ta-ra, we go in.
Send us money. Send us money so we can pay for a Zoom call.